This is Between Two Phones.
Well, I had something interesting happen to me last week. I was rearranging my desk here, that the desk that you see before you, the Between Two Phones set, or something, some magic thereof.
Yes.
And what should happen when I removed, or when I just moved this thing around? Have you ever had it where you're moving stuff around and it causes a problem elsewhere because you've got wires spread
Oh,
throughout your office?
so much. So
Yeah.
much.
So I pulled mine over, and the next thing that happened was right over here to my left, where I'm often looking. You will notice is I've got a couple of monitors because I'm a weather geek, and I
Yes.
have radar picture up. Even if it's not raining, a day like today, it's not raining. It's
True.
100 degrees in Texas. Um,
That sounds awful.
and and my nice 4K monitor that I have over there fell flat faced on the floor beside it
Ugh.
and cracked. And it's like a $300 monitor. I mean, it was
So,
probably more
so
than
let
that
me ask you
actually.
something, because this happens with me. So this small thing that you were doing this small change, this
Yeah.
small, and has now probably prompted so much more work to happen.
Oh, of
Like, okay,
course,
well
because you
now I
can
got to change
never.
out a monitor. And hey, if I'm doing the monitor, I might as well do this other thing too.
It's like
I'm
every home
there.
improvement project, right? Like every home improvement project. If I'll give you for instance, when I moved into my first home, there was a small crack. It was a secondhand home. It was a small crack in the master bathroom shower on the tile of it, and rather than just replace one tile,
Yep.
the entire restroom, the entire master bathroom, got an entire makeover.
Oh, of course, of course. Well,
New
and what
shower, new
and speaking of
bathtub.
that, when you get something really nice, the flip
Yeah.
side of this, right? Let's say you go and upgrade something in your home or something like that. This applies to technology too, by the way. You upgrade something, and yes, that becomes really nice, but now it becomes a glaring spotlight on the next thing you want to do.
Exactly, and this was the catalyst. The catalyst of it. I'll actually throw up a picture here. This was my. I was a nerd for a long time, but this was my bedroom in high school. I had a computer. I had my tape deck. Um, I had my stereo receiver. I had speakers. I had a scanner. Remember those? You had the little
Oh
scanner
yeah.
beds. I had a inkjet printer. I had a TV. And so the whole reason that I was moving my desk was actually just because I wanted to consolidate some things on my desk. Because I remembered when I was in high school, I was like, oh, I had these things sitting on my desk back when I was, I was interested in meteorology,
Yep.
as a matter of
Hence
fact.
the
And so,
Johnny Cumulus.
yes, yes, I went to school for meteorology, and I still have a green screen behind me.
They
But
probably didn't tell you until about the end of the fourth year. They're like, oh, by the way, you will never make money doing this.
well, the whole catalyst for me actually moving my desk was as a result of this picture that my mom had sent me. That she had, it was a photo album she was going through, and she was like, "Hey, look at this photo I found." She sent it to me in a text, and so then I moved my desk. The monitor fell, and I was like, "Well, here's the opportunity, right? You mentioned the
Yep.
opportunity. What happens next? Well, I get myself a new 4K TV instead of a
Yep. Of
4K
course.
27-inch monitor. I went for the 55-inch, and
Of
then I
course.
was like,
I
well,
mean,
I'd like
you're
to have.
already there. You're already there
Yeah,
mounting
I
something
would
on the
like to
wall.
have. I'd like to have this. Let's not have the situation where it falls on the floor again. Let's put it on the wall. So now I have a 55
Yep.
inch TV on the wall with. Then I wanted to have multiple feeds going to it, because you've got.
Yeah.
I've got. I've got my computer. One of them was a computer screen. Another one I could put like TV on.
Of course.
And so I can have multiple things going on now with my quad input
Of course.
multi-switcher device that outputs at 4K. It is really a nice setup now that it's prompted me just as a result of that one little change. But It is.
So,
It is getting to be a lot on my desk here. There's a lot on my
yeah.
desk.
So, what's interesting about that, and this actually applies to partners, is you don't always have to start with the big, bright, shiny thing, right? Like meetings is super easy. Everybody knows we does meetings. Phone is a really big one right now. Everybody wants to sell phone, but it's a very congested market, right? We're going against a lot of competition. And Zoom has a ton of other products that we can get in there that starts the conversation and shows value, shows that we are very useful to have on the desktop and have in an environment. And from there, natural extensions and expansion happen, right? You're like, oh, what are you doing about your hybrid work, your hybrid offices? Oh, Zoom has a great solution. It's very cost effective.
Yeah, it is a
Oh,
long list of products now. We talk about having, I don't know, I've seen 20 something, 30 something, 40 something. I even heard 50 something products that Zoom
I
currently
think
has.
we're at 18 primary. It's just primary, like big name products.
You're
And
saying
then
meetings, phone, contact center, primary, right?
yeah. These are like if you look at our new viewfinder, I think we have 18 around that. But those are literally just the big subjects that have, smaller subjects past them. But you can pick any point on that viewfinder and go, hey, this is a spot where we get to start making change.
Yeah.
Once they see it, once people use it, they choose it, man. You get them in there somehow,
Yeah,
and
and
all of a sudden,
a lot of those products, like they definitely there's so much togetherness in those products, meaning that you almost need to have one with the other because they're so complementary to one another. We talk
like
about Zoom
when
rooms.
you're getting ready to get a new TV, do you just get another stupid 27-inch?
Yep.
No,
You
you
upgrade.
go for the 55. And
Yeah.
while you're there, oh man, it'd be nice to see four feeds on this. So you get the four channel HDMI,
You know how much you can
mixer.
get, a TV for, a 55-inch TV for now?
Sadly, I do know. It's about
4K.
$200.
It's like, yeah, it's so cheap. Like TVs have gotten so cheap, but
Oh,
we could use
insane.
those for digital signage, which is what one of the feeds I have is, so I can test certain things. I can go to a Zoom room on this as well. And so these are good for lab environments as well, just to have. But we mentioned this cross pollination of products, so to speak. Zoom Phone works really well with Zoom Rooms. Zoom Rooms works really well with Zoom Meetings. Zoom Meetings works really well with Zoom Team Chat. Like all of these things mesh and meld really well together. And that's not something that every UCAS provider out
No.
there is able to easily say.
Especially the ones that are a little bit longer in the tooth and
Right.
they've been around a long time, and I give them credit for that, but they have to bring a lot of baggage with them. And as part of that, they have disparate solutions on the desktop, which is eh. And then they have different administration points, which makes it tremendously more difficult.
Yeah.
They
So
don't feel an intuitive flow from one to the other like ours
they
does.
don't. Yeah. Like if you can't access your phone dialer from one touch access in a Zoom room, then your Zoom room's not, or then your conference room is not properly equipped. You need to talk to someone about Zoom rooms. Um,
If you
and
can't go to admin and see in a single page your entire account, what's going on across all the different solutions,
that's huge.
it is a big deal.
Yeah.
Especially when you're looking at becoming. That's why I like how we named our place Workplace as a total platform to truly say, hey, look at this is not just one offs. These are integrated, useful products that are across your entire user experience. So yeah, I mean, but it's so funny how you start with something small and it just keeps growing and growing and growing past that.
It really does. And I think of all of the hardware, and you certainly, sir, we need to show a picture of your office now because you are you are a gear collector. We
Yes,
will say you have Eric has gas, gear acquisition syndrome.
yes. Oh,
And
so bad.
he is you have way more than I do, and
Um, so bad.
a lot of it is provided by someone who we will be talking with here today.
Yeah, I do. Um, I'm very fortunate for a couple of things. One, I get to talk to a lot of vendors that will send me stuff, and I appreciate that. I test it for the partners that I support. So, but then I also I want to set up and have it useful so that it's not just this thing in a box that maybe I pull out, but I actually set up my lab account as if it was a real customer and what it would look like. I currently have 18 different phones of Zoom Phone appliance, analog devices, Rove devices, 18
I
different
wish
phones.
I wish I had as much office space as you do, sir.
Oh, this is the one space I've gotten in my house. Everything else is owned by my wife. She's very nice to allow me to exist in the space, but and she occasionally asks my opinion. It's not asking my opinion. She's running an idea by me. That's it. That's it. But I get this room. This room is mine. But she even still has say in it. But yeah, yeah, 18 phones, 7 room systems. Um, Somebody went through and counted the number of screens, just screens in my office. And I believe at last count, I was up to 28 separate screens.
Well, you, sir, have the hardware. The battle of this conversation won in terms of amount of. I do not have nearly the amount of real estate to do such a thing, and I would love it if I could, but unfortunately, my office is probably only 12 by 12. It's a pretty small little
Oh,
room.
I actually have a wonderfully sized office. This area right here where I sit is probably 10 to 12 feet by, it actually goes to 14 feet. It kind of does a little jut out and probably 22 feet long.
That's
Um,
great.
yeah, and I've
So,
even converted my closet. So it's a used to be a bedroom. I converted the closet to be almost like a studio space. So
so
that's fun.
let's bring in HP Poly because you have some gear in your office that
Dude,
is HP Poly. What gear are you running, by the way, from HP Poly right now?
right now, I have a Poly X30, a Poly X50, which has been replaced by the new X52, but I still have the older X50 model. I also have the Poly P15 personal video device. I have the couple of Poly headsets. I have 3 Poly CCX 700s. I have a Poly Edge E450, a Poly Edge 350, a really nice down here Poly Edge 450 with a sidebar companion, which I've set up as a attendant console actually, just to simulate what it would look like to have all those buttons for all the
Yeah.
people that like to do transfer. I've got a phone set up just for that. The Poly Rove, which is a really cool decked phone up to 1,500 feet, and you can network 10 of them together to go up to 15,000 feet. All of these fully Zoom certified devices, and a Poly OB302 analog adapter, which powers, you can't see it, but it's looks like a Harley Davidson behind me, when in actuality, it's an analog phone.
I have taken one of those and hooked it up to an old Quest payphone in my office.
Yes. I want to get a payphone. I want to get an old payphone. By the way, I was down in California in the Carmel area, Big Sur. I found a working payphone, a functioning, working, put
Probably
money
because
in
they don't have
payphone.
very good coverage there of cell phones, and so there's
It
still
was great. But
a
like
little bit of a
they took
need.
those out of the Michigan area for I think all over Michigan a long time ago.
Could you use Apple Pay on the payphone? Could you just
It
walk
didn't
up
even
to
take credit cards. You had to put in
it?
4 quarters,
Physical coins.
physical coins. Um, And yeah, it was very interesting. And it
So
had a booth. There was a booth.
who do we have to go to? Who do you have to thank for all of this gear? I'm guessing you didn't go out and buy all this gear on your own. Who do
I
we
did
have to
not.
thank for all of this gear
I
that
don't
you
know if I
have
should
in
name
your
names.
office?
HP Poly obviously has been they're one of our best partners, longest lasting partners. They work with our teams very, very closely. A lot of that, a lot of it has been from going to shows and talking to them, saying, "Hey, this is really neat." They're like, "Hey, well, you want to try and demo it?" And so some of it at some point in my life will probably need to be returned. I don't know. I've kept all the boxes. I
Well,
can return it.
let's magically bring them in and have them appear right before our eyes here. Ready? Three,
Ooh.
two, one. Poof! And just like that,
Wow.
Pat is with us. Uh, Pat, it's actually my first time meeting you. Eric, I don't know if you know Pat.
I don't know if we've met yet.
I mean, I this is what we do now. We just ambush blind
Yeah.
call people on Zoom out of the blue and hope that they turn their camera on. So, thank
Yeah.
you, Pat, for accepting our call here last minute. You're in the middle of a sandwich because we caught him in the middle of lunch. So, I don't know that we could go any more off the cuff with this, Eric.
It's perfect. It's
You,
absolutely
you,
perfect. So,
you
and thanks for being here. We really appreciate it. We were just reminiscing about the amount of HP Poly gear I have in my office right now.
Yeah, I was
It's
jealous
excessive.
of Eric's empire of HP Polygear. Pat, how do you say your last name? There's a lot of letters in your last name.
Cat P, it's very simple. I mean, you guys could all pronounce that. Piwo Warchik.
Piwo Warchik.
Piwo Warchik. Piwo, Piwo, means beer in Polish.
Okay.
Piwo Warchik means beer brewer or beer maker.
Oh, so
And just like that, we became best friends.
as if he didn't like you for the gear enough yet. Now, now you've got the beer to go with it.
Second win of the day. I
Beer,
feel great.
So
beer
what
gear.
if his name means beer brewer? That's great. That's ominous sounding for my last name of True Axe.
Yeah, where does that come from, Eric?
It's actually a French name, although I have very little French heritage. I'm German for the most part, but you guys can
Hmm.
figure out where that comes from. But yeah, it's so if I'm in a more Dutch area or like Northern European, they will pronounce it true axe, and that's my lineage comes from like
Sure.
Dutch and Irish and German. If I'm in an area with a lot more French influence, parts of Canada, New Orleans, I will inevitably hear them say "tro" because they drop that out "tro" or "tro,"
Well, if I was
which
in Poland, I would hear pivo more than piwo. So
oh, interesting.
once again, I think the Americanized of pronunciation of my name versus.
So
So
Pat,
I hear you.
what do you do for HP Poly? Since we're
So
just
I
calling you out of the
run,
blue here.
yeah, no problem. So I run our head of our AV integrator channel for HP Poly, and also now working with our channel alliances team as well. That is part of my team now as well. So on the channel side, so all partners. So think of any of the large integration partners that are focused on video, but obviously not just video. So if we wanted to call out a couple of partner names that everyone should be familiar with, AVI SPL, AVI
Big partner.
Systems, Worldwide Technology. So about 108 partners are part of my team. I have partner business managers on my team that focus on those type of accounts.
Okay, well, we have sometimes dozens of people that listen to us. Um, if you were talking to like AVISPL, I happen to support them. Keith Blue's really great guy over there, right? If there was something that you could tell all those people right now about what you're doing, what the cool programs going on, cool tech, I think you guys have some cool stuff in the pipe. What would you say to them right now?
Well, so I would say to all our partners, it's an exciting time to be partnering with HP Poly. The integration is now pretty mature, long overdue and completed, obviously. When we hit November this year, that'll be 2 years, full stop, integration done. What we're seeing is the amazing investment in the HP, the power of HP, the HP way. Our roadmap is amazingly robust right now. We have 14 new video products. We have more
Oh,
products in the pipe coming. So we've got lots to talk about. Infocom is next week. We've got lots to talk about and announce. So you'll see continued focus on our portfolio. So it's an exciting time to partner with us. And when you think about what we bring to market, Yes, the poly side, voice, video, headsets, device management. But now with the greater HP portfolio, we're talking compute, we're talking laptops, desktops, monitors, keyboards, mice, accessories, a plethora of portfolios. So no one else does it better than us when you think about end-to-end hybrid work, right? So phones, everything. So it's an exciting time to partner with us with all the added HP programs as well. It's a great time for partners to leverage all these programs to provide better margin or more margin to them in our portfolio.
Okay. So I got to ask. So I came over from a different place that also has room systems. Um, how much are you seeing your partners dancing between different providers? Like Zoom, obviously, Zoom and HP Poly are a special relationship. Very tightly integrated. I think we go first to market on most of these major new features together. Really, really cool. But not everybody just has that. So how often are you seeing these partners going into customers where they're saying, okay, you have a Zoom room that's awesome. We have spaces solutions for that. And we're also going to have a Teams room device. And we're going to have a WebEx device or a Google Meet device. Because with Direct Guest Join and Pexip and all these, some of our other tools, we are able to play well with others.
Yep.
Are you seeing that be a common thing?
Look, I still see partners. Look, they want to partner with us from an OEM perspective for sure. Customers are really the ones that are driving the end all be all what they want. We're still seeing a very mixed environment, right? You're either one platform and then you're leveraging others. So I would say most customers are still in that space where they're using 3 to 4 platforms all the time. They standardize on one for something, and then they leverage others when they have to, right? So we're still seeing that. It hasn't changed. It's a mixed environment. Everything you mentioned before, I mean, all those other logos are definitely in the mix. But I think what happens when the day is done, our partners need to start really focusing on experience. What is the experience you want to drive? And that's obviously this partnership right here. It's driving a best-in-class experience, and our other partners are as well. So what is that experience you want to curate for your so if I'm a customer, who do you want to curate for your entire organization? What do you want them to do? How do you want it to be seamless, and how do you want to reduce friction when you have to do something else beyond whatever that set platform is? So those are the challenges we're seeing customers facing all the time. We definitely see people that say we're all in on one manufacturer, but which is great, but they still have to deal with, when I have to do X, what do I do? And that's always the challenge.
Yeah, and I imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, that interoperability, that coexistence is still pretty high on your development list. I mean, you guys are coming out with, in my opinion, some of the coolest new stuff on the market. Intelligent Director is like a year and a half old at this point, and that's still something really cool. 100%. And you've got the new network devices stuff coming out, like really, really cool stuff. I mean, that's got to be, that interoperability development still has to be, you're kind of chasing two priorities, right? Distinguishing yourself and hopefully Zoom's there with you, but then also making sure that you don't leave any of those existing, customers and accounts behind at the same time.
Yeah. Look, I think interop is not going away. It's not a one and done logo for the entire world. It's multiple. I think what we're seeing partners and customers do is leaning on the best-in-class experience that customers want to hear and leverage these features like Intelligent Director and other things. And then they add on, and then we do this, right? So I think that's going to be for the foreseeable future. That's still the plan of attack for anyone, partners and customers, and we want to support them as best we can.
I'll give Poly a shameless plug here. I do love your products. I have a lot of it here. You're giving me a little bit of gear anxiety syndrome, gear addiction syndrome right now, because I hear you have 14 new things coming out, and I'm like, how much of my old crap do I have here that I have to? Anyway, I will say, so in a multi-solution environment, I've used Poly Lens, LENS. For anybody listening, this is a phenomenal tool. I was taking some CCX 700 phones, and I wanted to move them from Zoom to Teams and Teams to Zoom. And I wanted to do that without a massive uplift of logging into individual components and things like that. I was able to use PolyLens, and I could register my phones, I could register my room systems, I could register these different types of devices, manage the profile, manage what they got for load, templates, all kinds of stuff. I just got into that probably about 6 months ago. I've been very happy with the ability because I run a Teams environment in conjunction with my Zoom environment just to see what that interop feels and looks like. And I was very happy with it. I think it's something that we don't talk about enough as that management tool.
Well, we thank you for your feedback. I would say Lens is something that is critical, right? Device management, anything you could do to make things easier is key. We are seeing Lens get better and better every day. So what's the good news for us, Lens gets more features going forward as well. We had our video summit, as you can, wrong chest this side, our Poly HP video summit recently, where you guys were a sponsor as well. I gotta make sure I'm looking at this correctly.
Oh,
It's like
love it! Look at that big
meteorology.
zoom right there on the sleeve.
Yeah, big zoom. So you guys were a great part of that couple days with our partners, our top 50 North America. We talked about Lens, what's happening with Lens, where are we going? So once again, it's going to get better and better. And the power of HP and what they've done with our portfolio, yeah, it's best time to be at HP Poly.
That's awesome.
So there's a lot of folks that listen to our podcast that are maybe not as familiar with the AV side of things. They have sold UCaaS for many years.
Sure.
They have sold
the phone side of things.
Yeah. Contact center as well. What advice would you have, given the fact that you know that we've experienced this extreme convergence of all of these technologies to one platform provider from a service perspective, and on the hardware side, HP Poly does a lot of those things really well with a hardware device. What would you recommend for those partners that are maybe a little bit newer to the mix in terms of getting into the AV arena, specifically into the Zoom spaces where you'd be talking about some of the room equipment? What would you recommend that those partners do? What is the next steps for them?
So if you're brand new and you've been focusing on the voice world and you're saying, I want to go dip my toe into AV, look, that's a big jump for a lot of reasons. But we do make products. Our X series bars are very easy to deploy. But when I say that, because it's all in one, right, that doesn't mean that you don't run into challenges. You need to understand the customer environment. Deploying video for the first time, you really need to understand what is that experience. Our AV integration partners know this for years, right? It's not as simple as let me put it on the wall and we go. It can be, but turning on or turning off features that you're not sure what they really do and you're cutting your teeth on your first install could be rough, right? You set up our fencing technology, right? You put noise block AI on, or you turn on acoustic fence, not knowing what it does or setting certain parameters. Someone could be in the room and realize, hey, I can't hear you. You're standing over there in the other part of the room, and I can't hear you. So my advice is, if AV is the practice you want to get into, because you're a voice person, you want to tie these portfolios together, that is the value of our portfolio. Absolutely do that. But I wouldn't say it's a quick snap and you're in and you're selling video. You want to go into that the right way. Maybe you partner with another partner that's used to doing installations. Maybe you build out your practice and understand those capabilities, because the features are amazing, right? I mean, I could start clapping. You guys don't hear that, right? You don't hear
nice.
that?
Nice.
So that's our noise block. That's our noise block AI, right? It blocks out non-human sound. But I can also start clapping, and while I'm talking, and it mutes kind of that clap, but you can still hear me talk. So, but these are things, if you turn them on and you don't realize the power or what they're doing, you could ruin an experience in a conference room, not knowing these things are there. So look, my biggest advice, John, to anyone getting into it, you make sure you got your eyes wide open. Understand that there are features and tricks of the trade and how you install and what you're doing and what is that experience you want to render. You need to know a little bit about that, or partner with somebody that knows a lot about it. right? We've got lots of partners that say, hey, we're only install only. We don't compete with somebody. If they bring us involved, get us involved in an opportunity or a project, leverage those type of relationships, and we can help, right? For sure.
Sure.
And
Hopefully
there's
that
there's a
helps.
lot of there's a lot of resources. I know HP Poly is doing some training courses. You guys have are going around doing trainings. I don't know the exact name of the program. I'm forgetting it off the top of my head.
It's hot training, Eric. It's hot. Hands-on training. It's hot.
HOT.
Doing it across North America. We've been doing it since the beginning of the year. This stuff is hot. So hands-on training.
That is the best name I've heard for training. But yeah, so that would probably be a great tool for somebody to get an introduction, start making some contacts, start getting some hands-on knowledge. Because unfortunately, not everybody gets to play with equipment like I do, and I appreciate that. But that is a great resource that people can utilize to get their hands on. Because I completely agree with you that if you think that, oh, it's an Android system, it's super simple, it's based on one, I just need an HDMI cable and a network and a controller, and I'm good to go. Maybe. I hope you don't have a glass wall. I hope you don't have, all of these other conditions and parameters that could affect it. And
that's it. That's it. Eric, you said it, right? You walk in and you're like, oh my God, what a great conference room. All these glass walls, and you're walking by as somebody that's not in the room, and you don't turn on certain features, then you're all of a sudden they're going to be part of the meeting that you didn't want them because they're walking by reflection, right? So the good news is we have all that technology to limit that down and handle the glass wall. And acoustics are challenging on glass walls. So we have lots of new tools we've added in our portfolio and all our solutions that are absolutely able to handle that. But you're right. It sounds easy-ish, but you got to have some of the tricks of the trade and understanding what happens in that room. It's not as simple as everyone thinks.
If folks would like to learn more, where should they go, Pat?
HP.com. There is a section at the top of our website that says Poly, and I would click on there and you can learn all about our entire Poly portfolio.
All right. Well, very good. Thanks so much for joining us off the cuff here on Between Two Phones. We appreciate it, Pat, and we'll see y'all again very soon. Adios.